Welcome back to Adventures in Randomia, my D&D solo adventure series. This is episode 9, in which Freyia and Clarissa, joined by Connor, discover one final secret in the castle. I hope you enjoy, and please do leave me a comment. It's great to read your reactions, questions, and suggestions. Last time, with the aid of Connor, our adventurers were able to open the large stone door in the courtyard. In the room beyond, they defeat a group of zombies, including an ogre zombie. As they are searching the room for loot, Freyia stumbles across a secret door panel in the wall, whilst Connor is suffering from the effect of a wild magic surge, leaving him burping bright pink bubbles each time he speaks. We rejoin our adventurers with Connor trying to warn Freyia and Clarissa of something, but completely failing to communicate due to his wild magic effect preventing him from speaking. Connor is frantically waving his hands and trying to communicate something to Freyia and Clarissa, but all that comes out of his mouth are bright pink bubbles. Not understanding what he is trying to convey, Freyia and Clarissa continue to try to slide open the heavy stone panel of the secret door, their faces tense with effort and anticipation. So we ask the question, do they get the secret door open before Connor gets his speech back? And we roll an 18, so yes they do. As they finally manage to push the heavy panel aside, the sound of scraping stone and a loud thud echo around the room. Just at this moment, Connor gets his voice back and whispers, "Be quiet, necromancer." Freyia and Clarissa swing round to look at him. "What's that you say, Connor?" says Freyia. "What I've been trying to say for the past minute," he says, "is that where there are zombies, there is likely to also be a necromancer. Someone must have raised them." "Oh, of course," says Clarissa. "I didn't think of that." So we roll on the secret door table to find out what lies beyond this panel. We roll a 1. This means that the door opens into a further room, and that we need to add 40 to the room contents roll. Through the dusty passage in front of them, they can see there's a room beyond that extends out to the left, out of sight. They all pause for a moment and listen, but can't hear any movement in the room beyond. "Okay, well, let's be quiet and stealthy as we go in then," says Freyia. They all roll for stealth. Freyia gets 12, Clarissa gets 4, and Connor gets an 8. Despite the fact that Freyia has the worst basic stealth skill of the three of them, she is much more successful in stealthing into this room than her companions. Freyia goes first and enters the room. She manages to stay reasonably quiet and finds a pillar to hide behind. Clarissa and Connor then follow her, but as they enter, they walk into something strung across the top end of the passage into the room, which Freyia, as a dwarf, was able to walk right under. So we ask the question, is this a trap? We roll a 7, so no it's not. This must be some sort of natural environmental hazard. Connor and Clarissa have walked straight into invisible threads hanging from a large spider's web above. "Ugh," says Clarissa as she tries to brush the sticky threads away from her face. Connor pulls out his dagger and attempts to cut the threads away. So we ask the Q&A oracle, is there a threat triggered from disturbing these threads? We roll an 18, so yes there is. As their movement pulls on the threads, they dislodge a spider's nest above, which drops straight onto their heads. The nest is filled with baby giant spiders, each about the size of a fist, which start to crawl all over them, causing them to panic and flail around. "Ow!" cries Clarissa. "Get them off me!" Clarissa and Connor try to brush the spiders off, but they are tenacious and their spined legs cling on tightly. They now each have 10 baby giant spiders crawling on them. Before any of them can respond, the giant spider parent appears from the shadows on the ceiling above and slides down a silken thread towards them to protect its brood, its mandibles clicking menacingly. So we roll for combat. The giant spider has the initiative, then Freyia, then the baby spiders, and then Connor and Clarissa. The giant spider lunges at Connor, its fangs glistening in the dim light of the room. However, it narrowly misses Connor's still flailing arm and does no damage. Freyia then rushes to intercept the giant spider, raising her great axe high above her head. "Get off him, you nasty great spider," she cries. She brings her axe down with great force. It lands with a sickening thud, cleaving through the spider's exoskeleton and slicing deep into its flesh. The spider recoils in pain, its legs twitching and writhing as it turns to face Freyia as the main threat. As the baby giant spiders crawl all over Clarissa, they sink their fangs into her flesh. She tries to shake them off, but they cling on tightly as they inject their venomous poison into her. 6 out of the 10 spiders succeed in their bite attack on her. She manages to resist some of the poison, but succumbs to 2 of the attacks. She winces in pain and feels her muscles start to seize up as the poison takes hold, causing her to stagger and stumble. As the baby spiders start to attack Connor, he frantically casts a shield to protect himself. The spiders bite and attempt to pierce through the magical barrier. Two of the spiders successfully sink their fangs into Connor's flesh, injecting him with their venom. Despite his attempts to resist, one of them poisons him. He feels his body growing weaker as the venom spreads through his veins. Connor hesitates about what to do. The spiders seem impossible to dislodge. Then he has an idea. "I'm sorry, Clarissa, but you'll thank me for this later." Connor raises his hands and casts Burning Hands. Fire blazes out of his fingertips towards Clarissa. As the flames reach her, they engulf the spiders crawling on her, burning them all to ashes. Clarissa, caught off guard, fails to dodge the flames in time and takes the full brunt of the attack, her fur and clothing singed by the heat. "Ow!" she cries. "Connor, what are you doing?" But then realises all the spiders have dropped to the floor dead. She pats the flame off a few patches of singed fur. "Oh, thanks," she says. "Great idea." "Okay, you do the same to me now," says Connor. "All right, here goes," says Clarissa. Clarissa unleashes her Sacred Flame cantrip onto Connor. A bright burst of radiant flames dance around him, scorching his clothing and skin, causing him to cry out in pain. The spiders crawling on him hiss and try to scurry away from the flames, some of them getting singed and dying in the process. However, a few of them manage to evade the attack and continue crawling on him. The giant spider then lunges towards Freyia, its fangs bared, attempting to sink them into her flesh. However, she deftly dodges out the way, and the spider's jaws snap shut with a loud click, missing their target. Freyia brandishes her axe with fierce determination and swings at the giant spider. The blade slices through the air, chopping through both of its front legs. The spider recoils from the blow, hissing angrily. 5 baby spiders are still crawling on Connor, biting and piercing through his clothing and armour. Despite using his shield a second time, 2 of them manage to sink their poison fangs into his skin, causing a sharp, unpleasant pain. Connor manages to resist the poison from one of the bites, but one spider sinks its fangs deep into his neck. Poison spreads further into his veins, making him feel nauseous and dizzy. Connor's health is getting quite low now. "How do I get these damn spiders off of me?" he mutters. Then he has an idea. "Watch out, girls," he says. He slams his hands together and casts Thunderclap, creating a thunderous wave that ripples out from his body. The air around him crackles and booms, and the sound echoes through the room. The force of the wave sends the baby spiders flying in all directions as they are obliterated by the blast. Freyia and Clarissa are jolted by the noise and vibrations, their ears ringing and heads throbbing as the wave hits them. The giant spider shudders and shakes as it is also hit by the thunderous blast. However, the power of Connor's attack causes a wild magic effect. For the next minute, Connor can only shout whenever he speaks. "Finally got rid of those damn spiders," he shouts. "I thought we were trying to keep quiet," whispers Clarissa. "Sorry, wild magic," Connor shouts again. The giant spider lunges at Freyia again with its fangs bared and bites down hard on her shoulder, injecting its venom. The impact of the attack shakes her, but thanks to her dwarven resilience, she manages to withstand the full effect of the poison coursing through her veins. Still, she feels a burning sensation spreading from the bite wound into her system. The giant spider looms large at the top of her now. Freyia braces herself and takes a powerful swing upwards with her great axe. The blade slices through the air with a loud whoosh and lands with a crunch into the side of the spider's head. The spider collapses to the floor, dead. As the scuffle with the spiders subsides, the room falls silent again. "Well, so much for being stealthy and quiet," says Freyia. "The whole castle will know we're here now." "Okay, spider, payback time." Connor is still shouting. He takes his dagger and goes over to the body of the giant spider. He rolls a 16 on a nature check, so he is successful at harvesting the venom sacs. We roll on the relevant loot table and discover that these sacs are likely to be worth about 9 gold. He opens his pack and places them in a jar, which is already holding a few other dubious-looking items. "Those should bring a pretty penny at an alchemist shop," he says. Having dispatched the spiders, they move forward through the room and peer around the corner. So let's find out what this room contains. We roll on the room contents table and we get a 96. To this we need to add 40 from the previous secret door roll, so we are now over 100. This means a significant story-relevant encounter. As they cautiously peer around the corner, the adventurers see a cluttered workshop. There is no necromancer, the room is unoccupied. They enter further into this room. It is lined with shelves upon which are books and various arcane tools. Parchments and scrolls are scattered across the wooden tables. Oh, it looks like the wizard was using this room as a workshop, says Clarissa. They scout around the room looking for items of interest. They make their way to a long wooden bench at the end wall. On it is a large container made of a transparent crystalline substance. Inside is a smooth black stone, about the size of an apple, which gives out intermittent faint sparkles of light. Freyia reaches out to touch the container. "Ugh, what's this in here?" she says. "Looks like it could be valuable," says Connor. "Wait," says Clarissa, "don't we want to check for traps?" But Freyya's hand has already touched the crystalline surface of the container. There's a loud rumbling and shaking all around them, and a familiar apparition of the wizard's ghost descends from the ceiling in front of them. "What the fuck?" says Connor. "Oh, it's okay," says Freyia. "We know him." The shimmering apparition of the wizard teacher's ghost speaks to them. "You have done well, my children, to have eliminated the aboleth." "Children?" says Connor. "Who does this creep think he is?" "But what about my Eldros?" asks Clarissa. "An unfortunate but necessary sacrifice. Without his blood to banish it, that creature would have destroyed both of you and taken control of the whole island and even beyond. Now, I have one last task for you. Bring that stone to my tower on the shores of Lake Illuminata. You will find it south of the wizard's school at the edge of the lake. If you can do this, you will be well rewarded. There are many treasures and magical items stored at my wizard's tower." "But why do you want the stone?" asked Clarissa. "I mean, you're dead. What use is it to you?" "Ah yes, the one who asks questions. My wizard's tower is well protected. The world will be safer with the stone at my tower rather than remaining here." "So is it harmful?" asked Connor. "No, it is held in a shielded container. As long as it is inside, it is not harmful. Do as I ask, and riches will be yours." And with that, the ghost vanishes again. The three of them look at each other. Freyia reaches out to pick up the container. "So you're going to do his bidding?" asks Clarissa. "Dunno yet," says Freyia. "But we can't just leave this here now, can we?" The three of them head back outside, Freyia holding the container. They sit down by the fire for a much-needed short rest. Freyia regains 10 hit points, Clarissa 16, and Connor 11. Connor asks, "So is it always like this for you two?" "Pretty much," says Freyia. This is more dangerous than my old job." Clarissa pounces on his words. "And what exactly was your old job?" "Oh, well, you know, this and that." "No, I don't know," she says. "Tell us." "Okay, if truth be told, I'm on the run from my old gang. We had a bit of a falling out, let's say, and if I didn't clear out of town, then I was toast. So I thought, well, let's try the life of an adventurer. Heard rumours about this place and came to check it out." "And was this a criminal gang?" Clarissa asks. "Yeah, I suppose you'd call it that. We had a bit of a steal from the rich, give to the poor kind of vibe going, but the loot never really made it to the poor." "So that explains why you're so handy with the lockpicks," says Freyia. Connor nods. "But enough about me. What about this stone? Seems like a rare find to me." "Yes," says Clarissa. "This must be a fragment of the meteorite that dropped on the castle all those years ago." "Oh yes," says Freyia. "Maybe it has some magical properties." "So are we going to take this to the wizard's tower, as the ghost asked?" says Clarissa. "Well, the loot at his tower sounded much more valuable than this stone," says Freyia. "Once I get my spells back, I could check if it has valuable magical properties," says Connor. "Do you know the location that the wizard talked about, Connor?" asks Clarissa. "I've heard of Lake Illuminata. I think it's here in the north. Maybe a bit inland." "Well, why don't we go back south to Ice Hollow? We can ask around there how to get to this lake," says Freyia. "Also, I'd like to find somewhere to sell some of this loot that we found in the wizard's chest yesterday." "Oh, I know a place where you could sell any loot that we get," says Connor. "Come on, let's get out of here," says Freyia. So thankfully they leave the castle, traversing back across the frozen lake and south along the snowy track. "Well, I'm not sad to be leaving that castle behind," says Freyia. "Agreed," says Clarissa. "I had quite enough of the place." "Yeah, me too," says Connor. The weather has improved considerably since they last passed this way. However, by now it is too late for them to make it all the way back to Ice Hollow by nightfall, so they stop over at the cave where they spent the night previously. Freyia cooks up another batch of her root veg stew. Connor eats it ravenously. "That's better," he says. "Shame it's not got any meat in it, though." "Yeah, sorry," says Freyia. "We finished the last of the venison jerky yesterday." Freyia and Connor turn in for the night, thankful to be able to rest in a sheltered place at last. "I'll stay up for first watch," says Clarissa. "I'd like to be able to read this journal further. and she holds up the leather-bound book that they found the previous day, left by the wizard in the control room by the Aboleth pool. I want to see if there's any information about this stone. It must be important if the wizard wants to reward us for bringing it to his tower. She lights a small lantern and sits poring over the many pages of dense writing in the journal. And there we will leave our adventurers, with Freyia and Connor dreaming of the riches they may find at the wizard's tower, and Clarissa scouring the wizard's journal for information about this curious meteorite stone and why the wizard would want to reward them for bringing it to the tower. Tune in again next time to discover what our adventurers decide to do next.